panga mtunzi tiende pamozi tonse a Zambia mtima umozi chikondi chatu palibe kusiyana ndife amozi tieni tipange ziko latu.
Ladies and gentlemen, they always arrive the same way, these defenders of silence. Not with facts, not with records, not with timelines. They arrive with emotion as a shield and death as an excuse. Leave him alone. He cannot defend himself. As if the grave is a legal amnesty. As if history pauses out of respect. As if power, once exercised, politely dissolves when a heartbeat stops. They may even comment on this video and say, leave Lungu alone. He is dead. Let him rest. But nations are not healed by funerals. Nations are healed by the truth. And Zambia's truth, uncomfortable as it is, still bleeds from a wound carved deep during the years of Edgar Chagwa Lungu. A wound that many would rather perfume than treat. A wound they want covered with flags, hymns, and selective memory. Yet untreated wounds do not vanish. They rot, and rot, when ignored, spreads. When we previously exposed Lungu's corrupt dealings in Swaziland, the backlash was instant and predictable. Loyalists emerged from the shadows like clockwork toys wound by nostalgia. Some accused us of cruelty, others of vendetta, others simply demanded silence. Shut up, they said. Move on, they said. Respect the dead, they said. But what they were really saying was this: do not disturb the lie we have made peace with. Because confronting the truth would mean confronting themselves. This is not about attacking a man who cannot respond. This is about confronting a record that still speaks loudly. Because while men die, systems remain, habits remain, precedents remain, and the Zambia of today still carries institutional fingerprints from decisions made during Lungu's reign. If you do not examine how the damage was done, you will never understand why the cracks are still there. Let us rewind to the political reality of that era before nostalgia edits the footage. Edgar Lungu did not inherit a calm democracy and accidentally mismanage it. He presided over a state that increasingly focused authority with entitlement. Elections were no longer competitions of ideas, but survival contests. Opposition was not disagreement, it was provocation. In the face of the opposition, the man who refused to disappear quietly was Hakainde Hichilema. From 2015 onwards, Hichilema was not merely opposed, he was pursued, arrested repeatedly, harassed methodically, restricted strategically. By some counts, he was arrested or detained around 17 times. 17. That's not coincidence. That is policy. That is what happens when the state stops pretending to be neutral and openly takes sides. After the 2016 election, a contest decided by a razor-thin margin and clouded by allegations of irregularities, the atmosphere changed completely. Contesting results became criminalized. Questioning authority became suspicious. Police neutrality evaporated. Opposition gatherings were blocked. Supporters were rounded up. Activists were detained on flimsy charges designed not to win convictions, but to exhaust, intimidate, and drain resources. The message was simple. Participation comes at a cost. And then came the episode that should be etched into Zambia's democratic memory forever and not whispered about as an embarrassment. April 2017, a traditional ceremony in Mongu, 2 convoys on a road, 1 presidential ego bruised by the audacity of another political figure refusing to perform ritual submission. That moment, captured on video, showing no collision, no danger, no chaos, somehow mutated into a national security crisis. The accusation that Hichilema had endangered the president's life. The charge, treason. Not obstruction, not disorderly conduct, treason. The legal equivalent of dropping a nuclear bomb on political competition. Non-bailable. Potentially punishable by death. A charge designed not to seek justice, but to erase a rival. What followed was not law enforcement. It was spectacle. A night raid on Hichilema's home with heavily armed police. Power deliberately cut, roads sealed off, doors broken down, tear gas fired inside the house while his family was present. His wife, asthmatic, collapsed. Not once, twice. Children were traumatized. Staff were terrorized. This was not about arresting a suspect. This was about sending a message to the nation. This is what happens when you challenge power. Hichilema was stripped of dignity before he was stripped of freedom. Denied food in the early days of detention. Paraded through police facilities like a trophy. Then transferred in violation of court orders to Mukobeko Maximum Correctional Facility, a place reserved for the most dangerous criminals. No notice to lawyers, no notice to family, just disappearance. At the Maximum Correctional Facility, the conditions crossed from punitive into inhumane. Solitary confinement, an underground cell, no light, no ventilation, no running water, no toilet, a bucket, days blending into nights in total isolation. Treatment that international observers described as degrading and potentially amounting to torture or cruel, inhumane treatment. This was not about securing attendance in court. This was about breaking a man psychologically. All of this over a convoy. As the case dragged, the cracks in the narrative became impossible to hide. Charges were quietly amended, others dropped, evidence wobbled, international scrutiny intensified, Amnesty International raised alarms, diplomatic pressure mounted, and eventually the Commonwealth had to step in, with Patricia Scotland personally intervening to help secure Hichilema's release after more than 120 days in detention. The case collapsed not because justice triumphed internally, but because the world was watching externally. That distinction matters. It tells you everything about the health of the system at that time. Even after that ordeal, the harassment did not end. Arrests continued. Rallies were blocked. Media access restricted. Supporters attacked by cadres emboldened by political protection. By the time the 2021 election arrived, Zambia was not merely voting for change. It was voting for relief. Relief from fear. Relief from exhaustion. Relief from a politics that had turned daily life into a constant calculation of risk. When Hichilema won by nearly 1 million votes, it was not a celebration of perfection. It was a rejection of abuse, a verdict delivered by citizens who had watched what unchecked power looks like up close and decided they had seen enough. Today, some attempt to muddy the waters by pointing out that Lungu later complained of harassment under the new administration, that benefits were withdrawn, that restrictions were imposed, and yes, those claims must be scrutinized on their own merits. But they do not rewrite the past. They do not erase the imbalance of power that existed when the state was used as a personal weapon. If anything, they expose a deeper tragedy, that institutions, once bent out of shape are hard to straighten again. This is why silence is dangerous, because when abuses are left unexamined, they become templates. When leaders are protected from historical accountability, future leaders learn the wrong lesson. And when citizens are told to forget rather than understand, democracy becomes fragile. So no, this is not grave dancing. This is documentation. This is memory. This is for our children. This is a refusal to allow power to launder itself through death. Edgar Lungu's era must be spoken about honestly, not because of hatred, but because of responsibility. Because Zambia's future depends on understanding how easily democracy can be hollowed out when fear replaces consent. If confronting the truth makes some uncomfortable, that discomfort is overdue. Nations do not move forward by pretending the past was kinder than it was. They move forward by facing it fully, scars and all. And if you believe Zambia deserves memory over amnesia, truth over silence, and accountability over myth-making, then stay with the Zambian Files. Share this commentary, subscribe, and keep questioning, because democracy does not die in one dramatic moment. It dies slowly in the spaces where people are told to shut up